Welcome, thanks for joining. My name is Josh and I'm on the product team at Slack focused on our platform and developer experience. And today we're gonna do an interactive workshop on building a Slack agent that's deployed to Vercel. So the goal is for this to be as interactive as possible. So hopefully you all can follow along with me. I do have a couple of contextual slides I'll jump into, but before I do that, if you wanna follow along and join along, just do one setup thing for me, and then I'll get into my slides. So if you follow the directions here to set up your code space, so just head to github.com/jmilis/shipworkshop. Everything is set up using a code space so that you can follow along, have all of the environment variables set up and things like that. So if you head to that URL and just click on this code button and spin up a new code space off the main branch. It'll probably take a few minutes. That's why I'm trying to get this started in the background. Leave that up for just a second. And then we'll walk through the developer sandbox piece separately. So just worry about the code space for now. Okay, cool. So just to set some context, why are we here? So one of the big topics on everybody's mind right now is everybody's building agents. You're hearing about the agentic infrastructure all day here. And I'm sure in your jobs and in your companies, you're well aware that everybody's building agents, everybody's buying agents. But a big question that I don't think people are answering very well right now is where are all these agents going to be living and how are they going to be useful? So at Slack, our answer to that is that we think that Slack is the home to all of these agents. But the approach that we're taking is, we're not trying to be a walled garden. We're not trying to create a new agentic framework or force you into something. We're simply trying to be the connective tissue between every agent platform, every agent framework. So regardless of where you're building your agents, where you're getting your agents, hopefully they're deployed to Vercel, but they should easily show up in Slack. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So why is that? Why should agents live in Slack? So agents are most powerful where they have the right context and the right ability to be right alongside conversations and context and decisions. And all of that is happening in Slack already today organically. So Slack is already a great surface for agents to interact with users and users interact with agents. And we've been building a lot of new primitives to make it even more so. This is just a quick overview of some of the Slack developer tools that you can use to build agents. We're going to take kind of the very foundational, fundamental path to building an agent today. There's a lot of other options, but in doing so, we're going to use the Slack CLI. We're going to use our Bolt frameworks, which is our Slack app frameworks, our SDKs, and developer sandboxes. I'll show you all of that today. We'll get into all of those different topics and tools. But slack.dev is a great resource for folks if you want to dive deeper into these things at any time. All right, so what are we actually going to do today? So this is going to be a 30-minute experience to actually get from nothing to a working agent in Slack in a developer sandbox that's deployed to Vercel. It's actually going to be hopefully less than 30 minutes if we can make that happen. It's all pretty easy. Some of the things are a little bit time consuming and depending on how the Wi-Fi holds up for us. But basically what we'll do is we'll get set up with the Slack CLI, which is going to come in that code space that you've already set up, hopefully. We're going to scaffold a Slack app using one of our agentic templates. And then we're going to get that up and running and testing in Slack so we can iterate on it and then ultimately deploy it. I do want to highlight, I mentioned this is kind of like the foundational fundamental path, just to kind of give you a good lay of the land. But there are a lot of other ways to build agents for Slack. Vercel has created a number of really great tools. They've got the Slack agent skill, a number of different templates, Vercel Connect, and then at Slack we've also got some different developer skills and plugins. So if you want to try some of the different ways after this is done, this is a good list to do so. All right, so we'll jump into it. Here's that URL one more time if you want to jump in and create that code space. So hopefully your code space is getting started. The first thing that we need to do is actually create a Slack developer sandbox to connect to this code space. So you can do that by heading to api.slack.com/developer program. And sign up for one. So the Slack Developer Sandbox is free to sign up for, free for anybody to join our developer program. And what it does, it gives you a fully featured Slack environment with our Enterprise Plus plan, so it has every feature available to you. And it's a safe place for you to build, test, and understand how your agent is going to work in Slack. So filling out this quick developer program sign up form. Let's see. And then you'll get an email, hopefully, to complete that setup. See, it might be a little bit slow on my side. But once you get that email, all you have to do is click the Activate button, and then you should be up and running with the Slack Developer Program. So I'll give just a second for hopefully those emails to come through for folks, and then I will show you what the next step looks like. So once you get that email and you click that accept button to get up and running with your sandbox, you'll have the ability to provision a new sandbox. And there's going to be an option for you to use an event code. The event code for today is just ship-NYC if you want to use that. And then all you need to do is create a sandbox name and domain. It can be whatever you want. It does need to be unique, so you might get a couple errors to make it more unique. And then just enter ship-NYC here. And then you can click to set up the default template, just so you get a little bit of preloaded data in your sandbox. And then once you complete that step, you should be fully up and running with the Slack Developer Sandbox. I've already got one set up here just for the sake of time. And you can see here, I've already got some channels and some apps already loaded in. But that completes step 2. That's probably the more like time-consuming step, just because we have to go through a couple of those different setup flows. But once we're set up, this is again, like that's a one-time thing. Hopefully you can reuse that sandbox anytime you want. But once you get that set up, you can head back over to your code space, and we're going to start interacting with the Slack CLI, which is already preloaded here. So the first thing we're going to do is run Slack login. And Slack login is going to authenticate the Slack CLI with your workspace. So you'll get this fancy / command here. Just copy that over, and you can paste it anywhere in your developer sandbox. Just accept those terms, and then you'll get a challenge code to bring back over here, and that'll complete that authentication. So now the Slack CLI here in this code space is authenticated with our developer sandbox. It knows that's where we want to be working, where we're going to be creating our apps. All right, and so next up is creating our agent. So Slack CLI comes preloaded with a number of different templates. So we're going to start by using the Slack create agent command. And again, I mentioned we've got some templates. So we've got a starter agent and we've got a support agent. For today, we're actually going to do the support agent. So if you select support agent, and then we're going to use JavaScript today just for some simplicity. But we do have support for some of our other different app frameworks there. And then today we're also going to use the OpenAI Agents SDKs. So all of our templates are meant to be used with sort of any LLM, any agent framework you want. Out of the box, we have a couple of samples that use the Cloud Agent SDK and the OpenAI Agents SDK, but you could easily swap out the Vercel AI Gateway or any of the different frameworks that you might want to use. But just for the purposes of getting going quickly with one of these templates, we're going to use OpenAI today. And then it's going to ask us to name our app, name our agent, and it'll suggest something if you want to go with that, or you can just do whatever name you want. And the Slack CLI is actually going to pull down that template and install any of the dependencies that we need. All right, perfect. Took a little bit longer than normal, but that's conference Wi-Fi, I think. Okay, so we did Slack create agent. It created our project locally here. It installed a number of different dependencies for us. And as a next step, it's going to guide us to go ahead and change directory into that agent that it's created for us. So we'll hop in here to whatever agent you named it, and then we can just go ahead and do Slack run. And Slack run is a command that actually does a local run of your app and then connects it to your developer sandbox. So we've already authenticated with the developer sandbox. So Slack run is going to guide us to get that app into our sandbox. So we just have to grant it permission to do so and give it access to whatever workspaces we want. And then we'll see here, now we've got that agent up and running locally here. And we've already got some debug logs and info coming through, so we know it's working. So if we hop over into our developer sandbox, we should actually see this agent show up. If we head over to apps, we see now Vercel demo local. So local is just, we add that suffix there because it's that locally running version. We can open it up. And this is all out of the box. So mind you, we haven't written a line of code yet. This experience is all meant to sort of get you up and running with something that is working out of the box really quickly, and then you can iterate and build and develop from there. So again, out of the box, this is a template for an IT support agent. Actually going to hop over into the chat experience. And so this is all like sort of like those new features that we've been building to make it easy for agents to have a really great experience in Slack. So like one of the things that we've built are these suggested prompts so that when a user encounters an agent for the first time, they're not just met with that sort of like blank state experience, what can this thing do? We really want to make it possible for the agent to sort of communicate, hey, this is how I can help you, this is what I can do. And so here it's sort of comes preloaded with a couple of options. So we can say, hey, I need to reset my password. And it should then reach out using the OpenAI Agents SDK and start to process things. So this is a working, running agent in Slack. Haven't written a line of code yet. We can also go ahead and actually add it to a channel if we want to. So if we just app mention it in the channel, it'll prompt us to add the app there. And one of the great things about agents in Slack is that it can be a really truly multiplayer experience, which is, I think, very unique compared to other platforms. So when you're in a channel, you can actually just app mention an agent. You can interact with it right here. It doesn't all have to be sort of secluded over into DMs. And then other people can follow along. Other people can interact with it as well. And so I think that's like a really powerful thing that comes with the power of the Slack platform. All right, so this is all our agent running locally. Haven't written any code yet. Let's actually customize our agent. So the beauty of the local run experience here is that it comes with like a live reload, hot reload. So any changes that we make for our app will be automatically picked up and shown in Slack. So if we go over into listeners and then pop into the assistant thread started file here, these are those suggested prompts that I was just showing you. Let's go ahead and change one of them and just sort of see how that iteration and hot reload experience works. So let's actually change this from network issues to hardware requests, and then we can swap this out. Perfect. And you've seen down here at the bottom, it actually is going to pick up the change in the terminal and push that change to our sandbox. And if we pop back over here and open a new chat with the agent, here we see hardware request instead of network request. So that's an example of sort of like the iteration experience. It picks it up immediately. You can test it, see it, iterate some more, get a really quick feedback loop as you're making changes, as you're building your agent, all in the sort of safe space of your sandbox. So once you've played around with iterating, another couple examples of things that you can play around with and test are your system prompt. So if you want to hop in and change your system prompt to be a little bit more specific to whatever use case you want to drive, you can do that really easily, and that'll take place, again, very quickly and very immediately. But let's say we've done some iteration, we're happy with it, we want to actually get this deployed. So Slack run, that local run experience, it only works while this terminal is open or whatever terminal you're using. So if you want this to be a long-living agent, you want to get it out there into production, you need to deploy it somewhere. And so we're actually going to deploy that to Vercel. So in order to do so, we're going to stop that local run experience. And then there's a little bit of setup that needs to happen. For the sake of time and this workshop, I sort of bundled a bunch of it into this bash script, but I'll walk you through what it's doing so you understand. So go ahead and grab that and run that script. What that's actually going to do is switch a couple of things on the Slack side so that it's set up to work with the way that Vercel expects this to work. And then it's going to set up all of the different configuration variables between the Slack side and the Vercel side. It's going to create the project on the Vercel side and then get everything ready. So once we do want to actually deploy it, we can do so pretty easily. Perfect. So that script ran. It configured the project within Vercel. And if you're following along, what's happening is that it's actually using sort of like a shared account just for the sake of the workshop. But there's instructions down here if you want to use your own. It's pretty easy to just log into your own Vercel and do it that way. But again, just for sake of time and getting something out there and running, this is kind of using a shared environment right now. So we ran that setup script, and then it's going to prompt us to run Slack deploy. So Slack deploy is a Slack CLI command that you can fully customize with different deploy hooks and scripts. That deploy script set up here to do everything it needs to do to get this up and running within Vercel. So let's run Slack deploy. And it's going to prompt us to create a new app. This is because the local version and the production version are actually separate apps on the Slack side. So we'll just create that app and grant it the same access that we granted earlier. And it'll run that deploy script for us, get everything set up, make sure all the environment variables are brought over. It's just going to verify that everything worked and looks like we have success. So if we hop back over into our developer sandbox, we should now see here the Vercel demo app without that local suffix on the end. We can open that up, and this is all live, working, and deployed, and has all of the right variables to work and respond to us. So that is now we've gone from absolutely nothing to a working agent in Slack that's deployed to Vercel in, 15 minutes here. That's really kind of the extent of getting up and running in this really quick sort of foundational way. So as I mentioned, if you were to do this sort of outside of the context of the workshop, there's a little bit more setup that you need to do. Again, you can hop into this script and see what's happening behind the scenes. But this is everything working end to end. You can swap out your Vercel account. And then I do want to, again, sort of hop back over here now that we sort of understand the fundamentals. We've gone from zero to the end. And again, sort of share all of the other ways. So I think today what we're seeing is most people are actually using coding agents to build and deploy their Slack apps. And so I would definitely recommend checking out the Vercel Slack agent skill as well as Slack's own developer skills and plugins. These things will work really well together to make it easy to make sure you've got everything up and running on both sides. And then definitely check out the different templates, the Vercel Slack agent template, the new Eve Slack agent template, and then Vercel Connect is a really great way to get all of your agents working and up and running in Slack. So I mean, that's it. That's meant to be like very foundational, very quick, 0 to agent, so you can see exactly how everything works. And then sort of your takeaway is to explore all of these other options and all the more advanced options. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? It is ship-NYC. Yeah.
Hey, so it seems like Vercel also talks about like Eve has a lot of like custom integration with Slack channel, and then I'm just curious on what you think will be the pros and cons building the Slack agent using the Slack native SDKs versus building through Eve.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's worth exploring both. I mean, if you're already using Eve for other things, I think that's probably a great option. Honestly, I recommend for most people in this room, if you're already sort of like ingrained in the Vercel ecosystem and using all of these tools, probably a lot of the Vercel built things are like the right sort of starting point for you. This option is more for like the perspective of starting from Slack and Slack's primitives. But I know that a lot of the templates that Vercel makes use our SDKs and frameworks under the hood as well. And so I think you'll get a lot of the same best practices, same experiences. So my recommendation is start with whatever you're already closest to and just get going that way, and then explore the other options as you sort of need to graduate out and figure out other things.
Yeah, I had a similar question. I want to get started with Slack agents. Is there stuff that a native Slack agent could do that an Eve agent with a chat SDK couldn't do, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, no. I mean, I think that the Eve template should be able to be used, sort of like morphed and used into sort of whatever you need it to. I'm not sure if it comes with like every single best practice out of the box. I haven't played with it that much yet, but you should be able to get there. So it might not look the exact same to start, but it should be able to leverage all the same underlying Slack APIs, Slack frameworks. I mean, on the Slack side, everything that I've shown is like fully open source anyways. So like these are all just our own open source templates. So regardless of whether you're using our template or their template, you still have all the same access to all the APIs and sort of underlying platform primitives to use.
I got to the point where I have the Slack app up and running, but I'm not seeing the bot in Slack. Is there a step that maybe happened after step 5 that I'm missing?
Good question. So you're step 5. So you did Slack run and you've got it running in your terminal, but it's not showing up in Slack for you. Interesting. It might have been something in the install, like when you did the authentication and installation. Something might have happened in there. Sometimes it also takes a minute to show up, and so it might just be like a refresh in a few minutes. When I was playing with it, when I was on the regular Wi-Fi earlier, things were really slow for me. I'm hardwired, so it's a little bit faster for me. So it might come down to that. But if there's no errors in your terminal, if it actually shows like Casey's running, it should be there. It just might be a matter of like refreshing and seeing that way. I can check with you after too.
One question more.
Hey, 2 questions exactly. What exactly is this Slack deploy command doing? Because I saw you are deploying something on Vercel, right? And if I want to make an update, do I need to do that again, like deploying Vercel and then Slack? usually we just like, doing one commit and everything gets deployed. So, yeah.
Yeah, so the Slack deploy is leveraging this, it's fully customizable. So this hook, you can point it to a file. And so it's just pointing to this, let's see, where is that? Sorry. So what it's doing is like it's grabbing like the environment variables, grabbing some of like the Slack specific stuff, and hooking that up, and then deploying that to Vercel. This is again like this. You might want to tweak this to whatever like specifics are for where you're deploying it to. But all it's doing is basically grabbing all of the environment variables, grabbing all of the like app specific stuff, and then hooking it up to Vercel. So this deploy script can be whatever you want it to be. This is just like a very quick version of it. A lot of deploy scripts are much more advanced than what this does, but this sort of just kind of works and gets it out there. Yeah, cool. All right, well, thank you, everybody. The Slack booth is like right on the other side of this glass. I'll be out there if you have other questions or want to come chat with us. But thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you were able to follow along at least a little bit. I'll leave this repo up if you want to keep up with that.